All right, so there is a conference presentation on from 5 years ago by an experimental physicist demonstrating the observable of non-commutating variables in the weak measurement experiment of a single photon. So there's no comments on the video, and the publication in the peer-reviewed literature is just the summary of the conference presentation. So basically the YouTube video is the research, and basically with the weak measurement of the single photon, you are extracting a very small amount of information, so you prevent the collapse of the wave function, which would be would be called a strong measurement. And normally in weak measurements, they're just measuring commuting observables, what they call. I said variables, but I should have said observables. So it'd be position or momentum during the weak measurement, and then the strong measurement is the non-commutating collapse of the wave function. And this is similar to the experiment that my former quantum physics professor Herbert J. Bernstein had recently published in a book chapter that I have not ordered because it's one of those super expensive academic books. But his emphasis is that Einstein's foundation of reality has been proven wrong, and what he of course he designed the quantum teleportation satellite system for NASA, as I've mentioned before, but he hadn't done that yet when I took his class in 1990, or maybe it was 89, one of the two. But my first year of college. And so this latest experiment he did was with a single photon. It's just like the weak measurement, but he used a frequency down parameterization, or down conversion of frequency. It's a lot easier to say conversion. And he's just pointing out that Einstein considered that the foundation reality assumed a statistics of more than one particle in order to collapse the wave function in the Copenhagen interpretation. So here we have these two experiments of the single photon demonstrating with Herbert J. Bernstein the nonlocality of the EPR. EPR hypothesis being disproven through Bell's inequality test that he did with the single photon, and then the single photon weak measurement showing a non-commutativity that's also non-local because you're observing both at the same time. So it's therefore the non-locality inherent to a single photon. And then this is what Gerard de Hooft and Martin Vandermark explained in their article, Light is Heavy, that the photon therefore has gravitational mass, and the weak measurements have then explained that this is actually a what they call a negaparticle, as a anti or repulsively gravitationally repulsive, so it's anti-gravity from the time reversed noncommutativity. So you have like a negative frequency and time reversed noncommutativity of the photon. And so it's just pretty astonishing that I just commented on the guy's video that, it's the very first experiment that demonstrates you can observe the non-commutativity at the same time as a weak measurement experiment of a single photon. And so this is another debunking of the Einstein's foundation of reality, just as Herbert J. Bernstein has emphasized that Einstein was wrong about the foundation of reality. And of course, Einstein was just standing on the shoulders of Newton, and Newton was standing on the shoulders of Archytas, the military engineer that collaborated with Plato. So the Platonic philosophy is just that exponential growth from the symmetric commutative geometry that is then led to the biological annihilation of life on Earth. So it's not surprising that nobody would even comment on the experimental proof of the non-commutative foundation of the photon that also is non-local, and it's also anti-gravity, because again the weak measurements have proven that this is an anti-gravity or a gravitationally repulsive source of non-locality. And since it's non-commutative, then it's covered up. As soon as you have the wrong mathematics that assumes a commutative geometry, then you're not gonna discover this, because you're ruling it out by the wrong mathematics. As Einstein said, the theory is what determines the experiment, and he was using that to try to claim that quantum physics was wrong. And of course, he was critiquing the Bohr Copenhagen interpretation. And in that sense, he was correct that the Bohr Copenhagen interpretation was wrong, but Einstein was also wrong. And so the relativity is just an extension of the standard physics. And so then when relativity clashes with quantum physics, and people pick relativity because they say, well, look, it works. But yeah, it does work, but at the consequence of biological annihilation of life on Earth. So just a small price to pay, but here we have the non-commutativity of the single photon now having been experimentally proven, and nobody has even commented on it. So just pointing out the irony of that. And thank you very much.